Now, in terms of 61:14,
Yes.
it's specifically talking about at the time of Jesus himself, because it's talking about hawariyun, disciples, right?
Yes.
So we're talking about that particular generation. And it says what? فَآمَنَ طَائِفَةٌ مِّن بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل. So a party of them believed, right?
Yes.
From the Israelites. وَكَفَرَ الطَّائِفَةُ, and a party of them disbelieved. Now, فَأَيَّدْنَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا عَلَىٰ عَدُوِّهِمْ. God gave help to the believing party over their enemy. Now, Allah could have said أَعْدَائِهِمْ, their enemies. But now this is where, and we're going to be honest, this is a little bit of exegesis here.
Go ahead, yeah.
But yeah, when it says عَدُوِّهِمْ, that he gave them victory over their enemy.
Yes.
Wallahu ta'ala alam, Allah knows best. But I think that a fair reading of this verse is that amongst the disciples and amongst the believers at that time that believed in Jesus, they did have a clear enemy. And that enemy was Paul. Because he came in, let me explain why.
No, I'm good. I don't get upset like that you think he's an antichrist.
No, I didn't say that word. I don't know why you're getting that word.
No, anti means against Christ. I'm just saying.
Okay,
that's what
I guess linguistically, sure.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I don't get upset.
So what I would say is that when it comes to Paul in particular, we find that how did they become asbahu zahirin? So zahir means to have victory over him, and it also means to be evident. That's why salat al-zuhr, the zuhr prayer, is when the sun is like the clearest, right? So zahir means evident and also victorious. What's so beautiful is that James was the head of the believers, and James puts Paul in check in front of everybody and says, hey, people are making rumors about you saying that you're against the law, and so what we're going to do is we're going to make sure you fulfill the rights. This is in Acts, I think, like 21 or something.
Acts 21, 18,
oh, I got it right.
26.
Look at that. I freestyled that one. So Acts 21-ish, whatever. And what we have is now the believers recognizing James as the leader, putting him in place. And the reason it's zahir is because it's making him lower. It's like humbling him and making him in line with the actual message of Jesus. And secondly, the reason why it's zahir is because you have that text till today. So forever, every single Christian can look at this and see that asbahu zahirin, over their enemy, that they became dominant over their enemy. Thank you.
Okay, now,
that was very patient.
Well, you want to X? No, because I'm trying to engage you. So I'm listening to you. I do listen to you. If you guys notice, I try to hear you carefully. So when I do my head moves, I'm not ignoring you. I listen. When you went to Acts 21, so this is where I'm saying, it's one thing when the Muslim hears it and they're not convinced. That's fine. But when you quote this to show it to the Christian, you refuted the argument. The Christian's going to scratch his head and say, wait, the same Acts were in Acts 15. James is in agreement with Paul and Peter that you're saved by the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ. That book of Acts. The same book of Acts where you have the Jewish followers of Jesus, long before Paul's conversion, teaching that Christ was killed, raised on the third day, he ascended to heaven, and he reigns as Lord over all, Acts 10, 36 to 43. So this is where now the Christian sits back and says, wait, if you're going to quote James, Acts 21, read all of it. James is on Paul's side. Paul is on James' side. Earlier in Acts 15, James is on the side of Paul and Peter. They're all preaching the same gospel. And this is the same book that says Peter, before Paul showed up, Acts 2, Acts 3, Acts 10, taught that Christ was killed, raised on the third day, ascended physically into heaven, and he reigns as Lord, even uses the word Lord of all, and he will return to judge the living and dead. None of the book of Acts supports that they were the true followers in the Islamic sense, because it's not Islam. So if they are the victorious ones, they're not teaching Islam.
Okay, so great. What I would say is that, as you already know, we don't agree with the entirety of the book. We're trying to highlight the parts that you believe in.
Right.
Now you would say, hey, wait a second, there's other ideas here. Well, that's kind of our point, that there are inconsistencies. You will find certain things that agree with your theology, and then there will be other things that create tension. Like, for example, practicing the law. It seems that James and the people around him, they definitely upheld laws and believed in a particular sharia. I know you like that term, right? Sharia. And then because of that, what we would say is that even if not everything is the exact same as Islam, that's okay. At that time, they may have had slight differences, right? But still, we generally understand they had their sharia. And Paul comes along and says that no more. We are, it's dead from the law. It's over now, and we're saved by faith alone and all this stuff. And this is actually funny enough. I brought this up during Avery's debate, and he literally just made a blank face and moved on. I don't think he doesn't know. So when it was very strange, I was like, is it because he knows that Christians don't know this? But you know this. So thank God I'm talking to you.
I know.
So he didn't address it. I'll address it with you.
Yes.
When it says that people will be running up to Jesus saying, Lord, Lord, and he says, get away from me because you are anomos.
Yeah, without the law.
Right.
Matthew 7:23.
So this is why you got to talk to the OG, right?
Okay.
So doesn't Paul,
What's up, Brandon? What's up, Holmes?
Doesn't Paul describe himself with the quality of anomos? Not just literally, doesn't he just literally use that term? and say, I'm not under the law, I am anomos.
Yes.
So imagine Jesus literally making a prediction about the future,
Yeah.
saying, I'm warning you guys from somebody who is, in the Greek, anomos. And then later on, in many places, Paul's describing that, look, you're free from the law, and these people, I wish they would chop off the whole thing because they're circumcising.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's many examples of saying we're done with all that, justified by faith alone, etc. And then he literally uses that term. So, okay, we're definitely not talking about the Islamic dilemma anymore.
No, talk. I don't mind. I want you to bring this up. No, I don't care.
تفضل يا شيخ المسيحيين. I'll call you that.
No, I'm not.
شيخ المسيحيين. Is that okay?
I'm not. Honestly, I'm not trying to be humble. I'm not trying to be humble, but no, I already is.
Sheikh Abba Suyuk.
Okay, but going back,
Shish
kebab, baby. Okay, coming back.
Go for it.
Number one, I don't know how other Christians will understand Paul, because I know what you're referring to. You were referring to 1 Corinthians 9:20.
You're good. I don't know.
But then we read 21. It says, to those without the law, as one without the law, but I myself am not without the law. I'm under the law of Christ. That's 1 Corinthians 9:21. I'm under the law of Christ. What he means is, when I'm preaching, if there's a Jewish person, I won't do something to offend them by going against the law, lest they use that excuse to reject Christ. He goes, but then you have heathens who don't fear God. I'm not going to come and shove the law down their throat. I'm going to teach them there is a God. You need to believe in him. And then when they submit, I will teach them to follow the law of Christ. So in 1 Corinthians 9:21, because that's what you're referring to, 9:20, without law. But then read 21, I'm under the law of Christ. So you can ask me about these. I don't mind. We can say. You look it up, 1 Corinthians 9:20, 21. Yet I am under the law of Christ. So he doesn't say he's lawless. He's under the law of Christ. Not the law of Musa, the law of Christ. And insofar as Jews are concerned, now we're going to go back to Acts 21.
Well, I'm sorry. I think
1 Corinthians 9:20 to 21.
I think you're saying it. Maybe I'm mistaken. Here we go. To the Jews I became like a Jew to win the Jews.
Yep.
To those under the law I became like one under the law, though I myself am not under the law.
That's right. That's
As to win those under the law. To those who are not having the law, I became like one who have the law, though I am not free of God. Well, that's in brackets. So
no, that's in the Greek. That's brackets. That's in translation.
Okay.
Read it. What does it say?
But I am under Christ's law.
Wait, so read that 21 one more time.
No, I got you. You nailed it. You got it.
Okay, so he didn't say I'm lawless.
So my question is, then why does he constantly describe not being under the law?
Okay, I'll get to that. Sure. I promise you, I'll address everything. You can ask me these. We'll make it this topic. Okay. Even what you quote in Acts 21, if you read 18 to 26, read it. Don't take my word for it. I'm not saying believe it. Yeah. You guys just read it. The debate wasn't whether Gentiles were not ethnically Jewish, right? Should they still keep the law of Moses? That's not the context. The debate was, we Jews, ethnic Jews, do we still keep those commands that Gentiles don't have to? James says, he even says it in Acts 21:25. It's in the same chapter you refer to. He says, as for the Gentiles, as far as they're concerned, these are the laws we imposed on them. What it did not include was that you, a Gentile, need to get circumcised and keep kashrut, what you could call halal. He goes, we've told them, but we Jews, because the accusation was, Paul, you're teaching Jews, don't keep the law of Moses. Nowhere will you find in the letters of Paul that he's talking to the Jews. He's talking to the Gentiles, because a group of Jews were coming in saying, hey, you got to get circumcised. He goes, no, they don't. That James agrees with him, that's why I say, when you go to Acts 21, go to Acts 15, because that was the debate. In Acts 15, you start at 1, a group of Jews were debating Paul and Barnabas saying, no, Gentiles have to get circumcised like us. They go, no, they don't. They went to Jerusalem, James presiding. James agreed with Paul. So there's no contradiction if we read in context. James agreed with Paul. Peter agreed with Paul. Gentiles don't have to get circumcised and keep those parts of the law of Moses. Here are the laws they keep. We Jews, however, to show honor to the God of Moses in sending the Messiah, we will keep those laws. And Paul never said no. He's talking to Gentiles.
So the whole thing about removing what's it called?
He's talking to the Jews.
Or what's it called?
Galatians 2, Galatians 5.
So why did he circumcise Timothy?
Because he's Jewish. That's Acts 16. Yeah, Acts 16.
That's because he's Greek. His father's Greek.
It says his mother's Jewish. Acts 16, 1-3. Open it up.
No, I'll take your word for it.
It says because his mother was Jewish, he got circumcised. But in Galatians 2, verse 3, Titus, who was a Greek, had no Jewish blood, he refused to get circumcised.
Interesting. Okay, good stuff. So where did all the rumors come from that James had to clarify?
I don't know. You're asking me? I don't know. No, so that's the context. So Acts does not support that Paul was lawless, because they all agree we follow the law of Christ. But the law of Christ, remember, this goes back to why I said I don't have a problem with abrogation. Now you're going to see why I'm consistent. Just like I was telling you that Muhaymin in LA means the Quran is your Sharia. So if the Quran tells you get circumcised, which was the Sharia of Musa, you get circumcised. But if the Quran tells you you don't keep Sabbath, then you're free. That's what we believe if we're informed Christians. If you have a Christian who knows his deen, I'm not trying to attack anybody, I'm just saying, I don't know.
I get your point.
So if he knows his deen, he's going to tell you, yes, the law of Moses we follow insofar that Jesus tells us this is what you follow, or his disciples said this is what you follow. But when they say you're freed from that, we don't follow it. For example, even with dietary restrictions. In the law of Moses, you couldn't eat camel and you couldn't sacrifice camel. In your Sharia, you can. So we don't say, that's not an argument. I don't use that against Muslims. I don't say, oh, you see? No, because then I'd be inconsistent. Get it? So this is the idea.
You were earlier saying that if the Quran is saying that's being affirmed by the previous prophets and they disagree with those previous prophets in any way, then we're going to throw it out?
The theology, no. I was talking about the theology taught by those prophets, not the Sharia and diets. That wasn't my point. What I was saying is, if I read the Quran and it has a different view of what the Bible says about God and his nature of Christ, that's when we say, sorry, we can't follow you.
Okay, well then I think I'm on solid ground because I think, the Jews would do the same thing with you guys.
Yeah, I know that. I told you we have a dilemma. So what we got to do for the Jews, as a Christian, you know what we do? I can't say, hey, your Torah is corrupt, because he's going to nail me. You know why he's going to nail me?
No, I'm talking about aqidah. I'm talking about creed. So the Jews are going to look at us and be like, thank you, Muslims, for at least holding on to monotheism properly. Okay, but, so if you're going to say it's restricted to aqidah, then I would say that we're chilling.
So my point with the Jews...
You're in some hot water.
No, I know that. Okay. I know. The Jews, and this is a fact for you who don't know, they have the concept called avodah zarah. Christians are considered idolaters, but Muslims consider worship same God. I know this.
So I saw a beautiful clip of a bunch of Jews.
You're happy, huh? What's up, Primo? What happened, huh? You're so how come you can't tell? You can't be nodding? No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. You know what? I was about to go.
Talk.
I was about to go further, but I really want to go to the Islamic dilemma.
Okay.
Give me your. So you talked about what's it called? 355, and you talked about 6114, and we dealt. I've given my answer, and whoever feels that that's good or not, that's fine. Let's go to another one.
Okay. You want me to skip that? You don't want me to address it more fully? Well, I mean, it was brief. That's up to you, man.
Please tell me I'm not skipping it right now.
It's not skipping, it's but to elaborate. But if you don't want, I'll go somewhere else. It's up to you.
I genuinely thought you elaborated very well, and I thought I was
I'll respect that. All right, we'll do that. Okay, other passages beside that one. Okay, we can skip that because you said Paul was lawless. That one, nonetheless, not according. Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to keep going. I made my case, and inshallah, people online can figure out if there is some sort of the theology of Jesus and the theology of Paul, if there's some differences there. I know that Muslims make a big case about this, and I think that people can do their own research. Let's go for the next one.